Good evening and compliments of the season as we review what has been a very eventful year on many fronts. For many, the year 2021 represents different experiences, but there are some issues common to all. The COVID-19 global health crisis that engulfed many social and economic activities, and the climate change debate that saw many countries call for greater action. So just as the old year bows out, we look at some of the defining moments of 2021 that stood out as not just remarkable, but memorable. I'm Ladi Akeredoluale.
And I'm Ijoma Onyato. Welcome to all our viewers at home and abroad who, like us, are counting down to the new year in just a couple of hours. But here at your multiple award-winning station, Channels Television, we're looking at our battles, our resilience, and the new normal. Now, we can't do this without talking about our politics. That's the hydra-headed security situation as well that presented itself in different forms across the nation's geopolitical zones. Now, let's look at why security, which we're starting off with, dominated many public debates this year, in spite of assurances that everything was being done to arrest the situation. Ladi, very disheartening there when we look at some of the attacks on schools. For instance, the government science secondary school in Kagara, Niger State, with about 40 students there abducted. That was a pretty sad one. And of course, the Greenfield University kidnapping, where at least 20 students and 2 members of staff were abducted in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. Many feared for what was happening with children as they are unable to go to school safely, Ladi.
Indeed, even the military itself was under attack during the course of this year. On the 8th of April, 11 armed forces personnel were killed in an attack in Benue State. Just like in July, a military plane was shot down by bandits. The pilot happily escaped. So let's come back here and take something, a reminder of something that happened almost at the start of the year, and which gave lots of hope that there would be significant changes. The president, after quite a bit of foot dragging, finally changed the service chiefs.
There's a change of guards as Major General Lucky Irabo, who once served as the theater commander in the Northeast between 2016 and 2017, takes over as the new Chief of Defense Staff from General Gabriel Olonishakin. He hails from Agbo in Delta State. Until now, Major General Irabo was the Chief of Defense, Training and Operations at the Defense Headquarters. He is an alumnus of the Ghana Armed Forces Staff College, Ghana, the National Defense College, Bangladesh, and Harvard Kennedy School of Government Executive Program, USA. The new Chief of Defense Staff was formerly the Theater Commander of Operation Lafia Dole in Northeast Nigeria, as well as Force Commander Multinational Joint Task Force in the Lake Chad Basin area. He handed over as the Theater Commander of Operation Lafia Dole to Major General Ibrahim Atahiru, who is now taking over from Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai as the Chief of Army Staff. Until his appointment as Theater Commander, General Atahiru at various times served as Director, Army Public Relations, Brigade Commander, 43 Battalion, Calabar, and GOC 82 Division, Enugu. For the Navy, Rear Admiral Awal Zubairu Gambo is the new chief. He was born on April the 22nd, 1966, and hails from Nasarawa local government area in Kano State. He enlisted into the Nigerian Navy on September the 24th, 1984, as a member of Regular Course 36 and was commissioned sub-lieutenant on September the 24th, 1988. Until his elevation as the Chief of Naval Staff, he was the Director of Procurement at the Defense Space Administration. The new Chief of Naval Staff holds a PGD in Transport Management and a Master's in Transport Management, both from the Ladoke Akintola University of Technology. He's also a member of the Nigerian Institute of Management, Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Shipping, Fellow of the Institute of Corporate Administration of Nigeria, as well as a Fellow of the National Defense College, South Africa. Air Vice Marshal Isiaka Oladayo Amao, who takes over as the new Chief of Air Staff, was born on September the 14th, 1965 in Enugu. He hails from Oshogbo local government area of Osun State, southwest Nigeria. He enlisted into the Nigerian Air Force on January 9, 1984 as a member of 35th Nigerian Defense Academy Regular Course and was commissioned as pilot officer on December 20th, 1986. Until his appointment, he was the Commandant, Armed Forces Resettlement Center, Lagos.
A seminal moment in what many hoped would be a better year, given the fact that some changes were made. But let's talk a little bit about the security situation as it were in 2021. And for that, we're being joined virtually first by the immediate past, well, now, not immediate past because there have been two after him, the past Chief of Army Staff and now Ambassador of Nigeria to Benin Republic, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai. I understand that General Buratai is joining us virtually. General, thank you for your time. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Leadi. Pleased to have you.
We're also being joined from our Kano studios by Brigadier General Sani Usman, who is a former spokesman of the Nigerian Army, and from our Abuja studios by a retired Deputy Inspector General, as he then was, in charge of operations of the Nigerian Police, Joshek Habila. I hope I got that pronunciation correct. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the program.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me
on the program.
Let me begin with you, General Buratai. So, at the time that the service chiefs were changed, of course, in that report, you were one of the outgoing service chiefs. What do you make of what has happened since you left, in spite of that change, shall we say?
Well, thank you very much, Leadi. You know, when you talk of military leadership in our context, especially, it's a continuum. The same officers have been operating within the same environment, within the same headquarters. I know very well, you know, from the background you gave of the Chief of Defense Staff, John Irabo, was one-time theater commander, is a well-known fellow who has made his mark in the theater. Similarly, General Tahiru, and then now we have Yahaya, who has, you know, the last appointment was the theater command. And then if you see Gambo, Vice Admiral Gambo, he's an experience. He's been in the naval headquarters and different, you know, operation areas. Very importantly, also the Chief of Air Staff, Amao, also has a very good grounding in the Northeast operations, especially and across the country. So this gentleman that took over, you know, from us, were in a very good state, you know, to continue from where we stopped. And, you know, apart from the initial challenges that started, immediately we left, I think they have found, you know, the right coordination, the right synergy that is required to take, you know, the country out of the insecurity that we've been facing. So by and large, I think change are inevitable. There is a situation whereby you must always have new hands, fresh ideas that will come. We have played our part, and we did it, you know, patriotically, diligently, and to the best of our ability. And we left, you know, quite proud and happy that things were stable, and they are still stable, despite intermittent attacks here and there. But I believe this crop of service chiefs, they are up to the task. They are no strangers to the security situation and, of course, the armed forces.
Yeah, let me bring it to you, General Usman, in our Kano studio. I know you're listening to the conversation now, and yes, there was that change of guard, but the attacks continued, even though, sparsely, but they were still there. If you were to talk about what the biggest achievement in terms of security has been this year, what would it be, seeing as the average person just hears the attacks and feels the brunt of it?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, yes, indeed, General Usman, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Even though I haven't gotten much part of your question, but I was made to understand that you are talking about the greatest achievement of the military in 2021, or?
Yes, sir.
Well, honestly, the achievement are unquantifiable. If you look at it from the perspective of the fact that 2021, apart from the renewed synergy among the armed forces and other security agencies, but you have seen the concerted effort on the fight against terrorism and insurgency to the extent that over 23,000 of the terrorists have voluntarily, surrendered. This is most unprecedented, and I think it's a good achievement in the sense that the ranks of the terrorists have been greatly depleted, to the point now they have resorted to recruiting child soldiers, knowing fully well the Nigerian military is professional and they respect human rights, so they cannot in any way shoot these child soldiers. We know that they are in disarray. So this is a good achievement. Remember also the fact that two of their key leaders have been out of circulation. They have been killed. So that is an achievement. And apart from that, there is kind of inject of military weapon and equipment. As you can see, despite the fact that what happened in Sokoto, but I think the security forces rose to the occasion, and to the point that they were able to kill several of the bandit leaders and destroy many of their camps, and of course they are still pursuing them. So that is an achievement. And when you look at it also, the issue of the level of attack, both in terms of soft and hard target by the terrorists, it has also been reduced to the point now I think the terrorists, they are on their knees. However, the issue now, it is not issue of achievement. We are concerned about the level of insecurity in the country, and it requires collective effort of all the components of Nigerian society. Because the understanding people tend to have agreed the primary responsibility of the government is the welfare and security of the people, but the government alone cannot do it alone. Therefore, it is a collective responsibility. However, the government has to take lead. So there are issues that we need to address, because bulk of the conflicts that we have in this country, they have their root causes to issues associated with socio-economic deprivation and bad governance. To what extent are we addressing it? And secondly, now we have this unprecedented number of terrorists surrendering. What mechanism do we have in place vis-a-vis our experiences in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and just recently in Rwanda? What are those things in place that we make sure that we handle the issue most effectively and professionally to ensure that we will not have a relapse and justice is served? Not just justice to the victims of the Boko Haram terrorism activities, but even to the terrorists themselves. So these are issues that we have to look at. Then again, various components of Nigerian society have to be brought on board. When you have a problem, take for instance, if it is a fire, you don't discriminate about the type of water you will use to extinguish the fire. You need all that you can muster. The first thing to do is to quench the fire, then of course anything else will follow. Therefore, we have myriad of security challenges, that various part of the security architectures are now involved. Because there are issues that basically they are supposed to be the responsibility of the police. Now the military are doing it.
At that point that you are, General Usman,
preparing for
at that point that you are, General Usman, you've mentioned the police. So let me bring in the retired DIG here. While the military can say that, claim some successes, 2021 was a challenging year for the Nigerian police, of course, with the NSAS matter, which reared its head, and all the other questions about police high-handedness and the issues of welfare and so on that came up. Mr. Habila, now that you're out and you're able to mix with people who are not within the police force and so on, do you think the perception that the force has in the larger society has somewhat negatively impacted on its ability to perform its tasks, which is why others are stepping into the breach?
Yes, thank you. The perception of members of the public as regards the performance and the behavior of Nigerian police is beginning to be put on the table, and some of the reasons why some of these things come up have also been addressed or are being addressed. But I agree with you that the members of the public have cried out as to some of the things the Nigerian police do that does not allow them open up to them in terms of giving out of intelligence, information, and working together with them. Because the truth about security is that it's a local thing, and those who perpetrate this crime and criminality do not just come from the blues. They walk through the members of the public and mix up with members of the public and get to do what they want to do in that community. I think that the Nigerian police issues are being addressed, and the image and values of the Nigerian police is being addressed. And I can say now that there is a concerted effort to ensure that members of the public and the Nigerian police must work together, because members of the public are those that would give information and intelligence to the police to be able to perform. And so the Nigerian police is aware that there are certain things that has bring them or made them have some level of departure from the public. And I think this has been addressed, and I hope also that this will be taken serious when some of the shortcomings are being addressed as the government have put on the table.
So I will stay with you to give us a response there regarding welfare, because I know that that was a happy moment sometime this year when the announcement was made that there would be a 20% increase in the welfare packages for the police. Is that what it's going to take when you look at the average policeman, one who you are yourself? Is that what it will take for the kind of policing we need to see moving forward?
Yes, what the government have said that it will do and what it has started is going to boost the morale of the men. It's also going to address some of the issues that have been a big challenges. Some of these allowances were there in the past when we all joined. But because of the lean resources, some of those things just went. But for government to bring them back, it's going to motivate the men. And the men, I believe, that is going to take them up and ginger them. And I think that it's a very good moral boosting, and it is timely, and if implemented, is going to raise the morale of the men, and the activities and successes will be recorded.
Let me come to you, General Buratai, and ask, given the fact that you have been, of course, at the apex of one of the services, and you were for quite a while, and now you've had the opportunity to carry out some sort of review since you left. Going forward, moving into year 2022 now, obviously, because you acknowledge that there are still gaps, that, you know, there's still this sporadic attacks and so on, what do we need to do, what do we need to focus on to be able to remove, as it were, those gaps?
Well, thank you very much, Daddy, once again. Well, I'm very happy to state that one very important thing that needs to be done in 2020 is the need for the synergy that is already going among the armed forces to be further consolidated. So far, the successes being achieved is a result of very strong coordination between the Army, Air Force, and of course the naval elements in the Northeast especially. And equally, there is need for further coordination of the intelligence. Intelligence is very, very important. It's very important. There are certain key factors that should be looked into, especially when you look at the issue of geofencing and also geomapping. Although geofencing is more of a technical nature, but there is need for more coordination in that respect. The issue of geomapping is more of tactical, and this, if it is well coordinated with the troops, especially on the ground, both in the Northeast and the Northwest, I believe there will be a lot of progress. But very importantly, the non-kinetic aspect is very important. The states where most these incidents of insecurity is taking place, they really need to carry out more of the non-kinetic aspect. Related to this is also further intelligence. There must be disconnect, or the terrorists, the bandits must be disconnected from the people. This is one of the major problems that the insecurity in the country that has continued to persist. One is that religiously, there is strong religious affinity between the people in the town and the bandits or terrorists in the villages or in the bushes and the forest. And although that is not feasible for it to be disconnected, but there should be more de-radicalization and further education of the impact or the consequences of terrorism or banditry or kidnapping in the society to the people who really live in town, so that they don't support the bandits or the terrorists that are in the bush. The connection in terms of the ideological affinity or the indoctrination in terms of the ideology, it must be severed. And this will require serious preaching, serious enlightenment of the people. Now, there is also the issue of economy or the benefits where the people in the town get. The ordinary truck pusher, fetches firewood, and he supports them in the bush by ferrying foodstuff, provisions, including water and fuel. This must be severed, because if these bandits or terrorists or kidnappers don't get these supplies, they won't be able to operate, they won't be able to do much. And with the military action or the police action, if it is further complemented with the non-kinetic activities, I assure you there will be a lot of progress. Similarly, also, there is the issue of the criminal aspects. There is nothing that happens, probably either, especially in the towns, smaller villages, or in the cities, without connivance. So the informants must be fished out, and this could be gotten through technical intelligence and, of course, very close coordination with the traditional rulers as well as the local government administrators. This is very important. The local travelers, especially those transporters in the garage or in the parks, in the markets, they must be identified. And once this thing is done, I believe, a lot of success will be achieved.
All right, John.
It's really criminal.
Apologies.
Right?
Apologies.
Unless the aspect is removed, we will continue to have this challenge. But I believe, in terms of the military, they are prepared, and a lot of equipment have come in, and the synergy has improved. This is what is required to see to the end of the insecurity, in the country in 2022. There is hope.
All right, let me bring it back to our Kano studio, General Sani Usman there. And I'd like to quickly talk about the humanitarian fallout of insecurity, banditry, etc. If you look at the Africa report for 2020, there's a lot of concern about displaced persons and what happens to them when they're asked to go back to the areas they originally ran away from, particularly when there isn't much of a security arrangement for them and there's a lot of fear. Do you see us coming into the new year with a better plan for those who, unfortunately, are on the receiving end of being displaced?
Definitely, I won't speak for the government, but I think it is something that is needed most urgently. I have made reference to the fact that we have 23,000 surrendered Boko Haram terrorists and their families. We have to critically examine what sort of plans do we have for their rehabilitation, de-radicalization, and reintegration into the society. Apart from that, if you go to the northwestern part of the country, a lot of people have been affected by the activities of the bandit kidnappers. They have been displaced from their ancestral homes. They are now internally displaced persons in various schools and facilities. I think the most important thing is to ensure that we deal with this security issue squarely, to the point that these terrorists and bandits and kidnappers do not constitute the threat they constitute. And of course, the people will have to make adequate arrangement, not just for their security, because a lot of them have lost their means of livelihood. To what extent are we going to support their, socio-economic, reintegration back into the society? This is very important. At the various levels, the government is supposed to do more, the state, and of course the federal government. But beyond that, again, we have to critically examine our relationship with our neighboring countries. Yes, we have the Lake Chad Basin Commission, which is doing very well, of course, and the Multinational Joint Task Force. But I think we have to heighten our diplomatic shuttle, because bulk of the weapons, illegal weapons or illicit weapons and drugs, they come through our land borders. To what extent are we synergizing with them so that we can minimize the security threats that our security forces can deal with? Then His Excellency had made reference to other issues that had to do with governance. I think we just have to make sure that the local government system is working. Otherwise, we'll just be moving around in cycle, because they have played a very important role, being the third tier of the government. To what extent are they prepared, being closer to the people, to perform their functions effectively is very important. Because whatever arrangements you have, if you have not strengthened this institution, particularly the local government system, will still be falling back. Then again, the military and security forces are doing marvelously well. They need to be assisted more, particularly in terms of their civil-military relations and humanitarian activities. Because some of them, they eke it out of their own meager resources to assist. Therefore, the government should have an effective mechanism. I know we have Humanitarian Affairs Ministry, we have the Emergency Management Agency. I think we need to synergize and have a locally based solution to this problem, particularly in the Northeast and the Northwest. so that in 20, well, it's just a matter of tomorrow, when we enter 2022, we are going to have a better arrangement for these internally displaced persons to go back, not just the issue of security, physical security, but other security, because security is all-encompassing. If somebody is hungry, if somebody is unemployed, the fact that you secure him from physical attack does not, preclude the fact that he or she is insecure. So these are the issues that we have to take into consideration also.
That is it. This is a conversation that is ongoing. We'll probably continue to have it well into 2022. But let me thank the former Chief of Army Staff, now Nigeria's ambassador to Benin Republic, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, for your time. Thank you very much for joining us. Brigadier General Sani Usman, who was in our Kano studios, and retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, Chishak Habila, who was in our Abuja studios. Thank you all, gentlemen, for your time today.